Judaism is a religion that doesn't live on a mountaintop. We don't really believe that what it means to be Jewish is to go off somewhere and live without anything physical. That would be almost easier. Judaism is a religion that has physical things. We have objects that we use to connect to Hashem, that we take with us in big moments, that we keep and we look at and we use as mitzvos and masim tovim. If you would have to ask yourself, what is arguably the most significant object that we have? If you'd have to list them, in today's day and age, what would be the most significant object that we have today? A menorah, maybe. A Torah, very good. I would say that the most significant, obviously besides Torah, because that's everything, the most significant object that we have is a chauffeur. No? The most important event in our past was Matan Torah. Matan Torah was accompanied with a kol shofar. The most important event in the future is going to be Mashiach. Mashiach is going to be accompanied with the kol shofar. The most important event of the year is Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is Yom Hadin. Rosh Hashanah is the day that everything gets decided. It's 48 hours where the Kadosh Baruch Hu literally decides our every moment for the rest of the year. Yom Kippur is the appellate court of Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the day that we coronate Hashem King. What is the symbol we take with us in Rosh Hashanah? The shofar. The Medrash says the shofar is so powerful that on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem sits in din. When he hears the shofar, he gets up and he goes sit down in his kisei shel rachamim. What could be more powerful than that? The future, the past, and the present. One symbol, the shofar. Why? So the Gemara teaches us. Because the shofar reminds us of maybe the most important event in history. Avram Avinu had one son, and God said, I want you to take him up and I want you to sacrifice him to me. And he does, or he tries. He goes up and he's about to sacrifice his son, and the shofar is connected to that event, and that's what reminds us of Akedas Yitzchak. Does that make sense to anybody? The shofar reminds you of Akedas Yitzchak. Do you remember the actual story? God tells Avraham, take your son and shecht him. And Avraham goes up on the mountaintop. And if you can almost picture it, and Hidabroot, by the way, if they could, they would have been live streaming it with they would have cut it up and put music behind it. It would have been amazing. You can imagine for a second, Avram up there for a minute, since we're in a Hidabroot convention. The music would have been pumping, and as he gets in there, he's tying him, and the music is getting dramatic. And as he raises his knife to kill Yitzchak, the music is now going crazy. And as Avram is about to kill Yitzchak, he hears a voice. Avram, he's like, stop. And he's like, what? He's like, just stop. Back off, drop the knife, and then the music probably just settles down and it's over. And he probably hugs Yitzchak, and then the good music comes on and it's over. The drama is done. He unties him, and then he sees in the corner a ram, and he shechs the ram. The shofar wasn't even part of the story. It wasn't part of the drama. By the time you got to the shofar, the credits already came up and said, God as God, Avram as Avraham. It was all over. There's no more drama. Yitzchak was going to live. Everybody lived happily ever after. And then in the post-credits, when it was all done, you bring the shofar wasn't even in the drama of the story. You want to give me a symbol of Akedas Yitzchak? Give me a nice long knife. Get a rope. You know what would be amazing on Rosh Hashanah? You really want to relive the Akedas Yitzchak? Tell the rabbi to find some guy in the back not paying attention. Bring him up to the bima, tie him up, pull out a knife, and everyone's like, no. That would be awesome. That would be dramatic. That would be Akedas Yitzchak. But God uses the shofar. The shofar wasn't even in the story. I mean, who was the PR agent of the shofar? What publicists did they use to get everywhere? They weren't even in the story. Why is the shofar so important for him? So I want to give you a minute, if you can. Let's take a second back, and I want to understand Avraham. And in the few minutes that I have today, I want to take us down a little bit of understanding how important that story was and why the shofar means so much to us. And allow me, if you will, just for the few minutes tonight, a little bit of dramatic license as I tell the story over with extra drama just for tonight. Come back with me a little bit. to Mesopotamia, Ur Kasdim, at a time where everybody was Ovdei Avodah Zarah. Today we speak about people that live in a tough time. The world is secular, but you have conventions. Back in the time of Ur Kasdim, nobody was doing any conventions. Everybody was worshiping suns and moons and rocks and statues. And there was one man with an idea. He said, wait a second, the religion is idolatry. There's a lot of symbols in idolatry. This is a pretty good business. And a guy named Terach started a company selling idols. It was a great idea. No wonder he gave birth to a Jew. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. And he opened up an incredible store, and with minutes, he was the ultimate startup. He was on the cover of Forbes. He had a deal with Walmart. He had an online store. He was selling to Amazon. He was killing it because guess what? Religion pays. Faith makes money. And Terach was doing great, and he had a son that was going to go into the business. This is the Jewish story 101. And his son was taking over the business. He was a brilliant salesman named Avraham. And he was doing amazing. He was winning every salesman award. He was flying to Bermuda. He had the best car. Everything was amazing. And as he's selling all these idols, Avraham stops and says, hey, wait a second. I'm talking about the sun and the moon and the wind and the stars, but they're all deriving their koach, their power, from somewhere. And on his own, Avraham, and the Medrash gives different ways, explanations how, but basically on his own, he realizes that all of the things that people are worshiping are derived from one unified source. And he says, what am I worshiping the bottom guys for? Let me worship the top. Let me go to the source. How Jewish is that, right? Why should I go to the retailer? Let me just go to the wholesaler. And Avraham starts to believe and to preach about Hashem. And he's all in. And he opens up a 501c3, he's got a Shabbaton, he puts up a website, he's doing great. And so is baking challahs, everything's going great, they're having guests over for Shabbos, and Avraham is building a whole repertoire, a whole following of people going, yeah, that makes sense. Why would I worship the wind when I can worship Hashem? And at the time, there's a man named Nimrod. Nimrod is the king of the land. And the one thing a king of the land hates is a king of the world. And Nimrod calls Avraham in. And allow me just a little bit of dramatic license here. Can you picture for a second? We hear these stories, we read some of these words, and for us, it's just words on a page, but you missed the point of it if we don't get into the drama. Can you imagine Nimrod and all of his people waiting outside as they bring Avraham right in front of the king, and right before the king is a fire pit. And Nimrod goes, look who's here. I heard that you're an incredible speaker. Wow, I'm very impressed about your Shabbos. The food was amazing, I heard. They are Jews, or they will be Jews. And I heard that you believe in a God of the world. Wow, that's an incredible concept. He's everywhere at the same time? In that case, let's put it to a test. In front of you is a fire pit. If he's really everywhere, he'll be right here and he'll save you. What do you think? And at that moment, Avraham stood at that ledge, and in front of him was the fire. You know, he believed in Hashem. He did. He wouldn't have left his father's company. He wouldn't have ran around with his wife preaching Hashem. He wouldn't have gone into Kiruv if he didn't. But there's belief, and there's belief. We believe in things, all of us, don't we? We believe in our wives and husbands. We believe in our kids. We believe in God. We believe in our careers. But there's belief, and then there's going all in. And those are real different. And at that moment in history, there was a man who believed in Hashem, but there's believing in Hashem, and there's jumping into a fire pit for him. And the world stood still to see what Avram would do next. And at one moment, Avram made a decision that would change humanity. Avraham decided that I don't just believe in it through my words. I don't just believe in it when it's going okay. I don't just believe in Hashem when it's a drop uncomfortable. If I believe, I am all in. And when he jumped into that fire, what Avraham brought to the world was a trait that we know and we say as chesed. Chesed is a sphera that is representative of Avraham, because chesed we mistranslate as kindness. Chesed isn't kindness. Kindness is a subset of chesed. The chesed at its core is sacrifice. It's unconditional giving. It's when I put you before me. If I go all in on something, if I'm willing to sacrifice something, then I am beginning to touch the midah of chesed. And at that moment, Avraham brought something to this world. He brought chesed, and we're his children. We have his DNA, and he gave us and the world the idea of chesed, of sacrifice, of going all in on what you believe in. And like a good father, if you ever got a kid who's good at math, the last thing a parent does is holds him back so he can get A's in the easier class. What do? You push him forward so you can challenge him. Like a good father, the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, I got something I can work with here. Let's see how much I can exercise this trait of chesed. And for the next 9 times, depending on whose count you hold by, he tests and tests and tests. Not because he's trying to see if Avram's into him. We think a test from Hashem is checking if we believe. Hashem knows the answers. A test, nisayon, comes from the word nes. Nes is a banner. A test, it grows you. And Avraham grows and grows and grows and grows and grows in sacrifice. You see, all of us have things we believe in. But the question is whether or not we believe in them. The question is whether we'll go all in on them. I remember one time years ago, I was over a rabbi's house in Sukkot for Simchas Torah. And there was a woman at the table who was sitting for a few minutes, and then after a few minutes, she got up and she just left. And it was weird. She just got up and walked right out. And the rabbi gave us like a look like, don't say anything. The table went silent. She left, slammed the door, and left. And the whole table was like uncomfortable. He said, this woman needs a lot of help. I said, what way? She said that her husband, this was 2001, Simchas Torah 2001 came a month after September 11th, 2001, remember? Her husband was working in one of the towers during 9/11. If you remember the story of 9/11, the first plane hit, the second plane hit lower, and there were maybe dozens of people that were at their desks at work when the second plane hit. Her husband was one of them. That Tuesday morning, she got into a fight with her husband. He left for work, and she left for carpool. While she was out doing carpool rounds of all the kids, he's sitting at his desk at the Twins Tower, and a 747 hits 15 floors below him. 20 seconds left of life, what do? You know what this man did? He called his wife. And he picked up the phone and he said, honey, I'm the luckiest man in the world that I was worthy of living with you for as long as I did. Whatever I've done in my life to not make you happy, I regret it now. You're the greatest thing that God gave me. Just turn on the TV and know I'll love you forever. She walks into the house, throws the keys, still upset from the morning. She starts doing dishes and clicks on her favorite morning television show, but instead every show is being blocked by coverage of 9/11. And as she looks down in the corner of her eye, what she sees is a blinking red light on her phone. And she plays the message of her husband as she watches her husband's building crash to the ground. 20 seconds left of life, what do? Most people, they'd pick up the phone and call. Do you know why? Because that's what they always wanted to do. They always wanted to tell their wives how much they loved them, but they couldn't in life. They always wanted to tell their parents how much they mean to them. Every kid wants to tell their mom, thank you for raising me, but they can't. So I teach in college, so I came to my students and I said, I want to do an exercise. I want you to pretend that you had one phone call left to make. Who would you call? What would you say? And I had them write it down on a piece of paper. That was it. And I noticed something. They went out after the class was over and they started making phone calls. I was like, wow, maybe I could use this. So I gave a talk, maybe like a month later to maybe a room, maybe a little small in this, of college kids, secular, religious, and I did the same thing. But this time I did it a little differently. I said, everyone write down who would you call, what would you say? And they left and they had a break and they came back for the next session. I said, okay, now everybody's gonna have to pick, I want everybody to make a phone call. And they all left and they started making phone calls, they were crying, it was amazing. And I came back and I go, okay, who made phone calls? You know that feeling you get when you're in class and your teacher calls on you, but you like sneeze or you move your shoulder at the wrong moment, you know what I'm talking about? And they're like, yes, you're like, no, I was sneezing. You're like, yeah, too late. God wanted me to call on you. So one kid did that in the corner on my left, a guy. He goes like this. I said, yeah. He goes, no. I'm like, no. He goes, no. I'm like, no, too late. It's the teacher move. Please, stand up. He stands up. I said, who would you call? Would you say? He goes, no, I don't. I go, come on. He goes, I didn't call anybody. I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, this is my moment. Make a phone call. Be tough. You can do it. So I turned to him like, come on, you can do it. Make the call. He's like, nah, I can't. I'm like, make the call. He goes, no, I can't. I'm like, yes, you can. He goes, no, I can't. I'm like, make the call. I said it a little too slowly. And as I said it, somebody thought I was chanting it. So I said, make the call. And a girl over here said, make the call. I'm like, uh-oh. Make the call. I'm like, oh, this is going to go bad. Make the call. Make the call. Boy, you know it, 300 kids going, make the call. Make the call. I'm like, settle down. Settle down. So I'm like, explain to us why you can't make the call, thinking he's saying I'm too much of a chicken. And he goes, the person I wrote out to speak to was my dad. I said, tell us about it. He said, you know, I grew up thinking my father hated me. He always found a thing to find wrong with me. And then I got older, I realized that my dad was just trying to toughen me up because he believed in me. When I would tell my dad that, I know you love me and I love you too. I said, come on, make the call. He goes, I can't. I said, how come? He said, because my dad died 2 years ago. What in the world are we waiting for? What in the world are all of us waiting for to say the things to the people around us that we actually want to say? Why do we walk around with mediocre relationships when all it takes is one call and we can blow up everyone around us? Why are there people still fighting with people that they're related to? Why are there wives that don't know if their husbands really love them? Why are there kids and parents that walk around with this? Why do we do it? You know why? Because we believe in things, but we can't go all in. Because going all in means one thing: sacrificing me. I can't protect me. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to say it. I can't say it. Me. And when we live a life where the ani, where me gets in the way, I can't jump in the fire. I can't pick up a phone. I can't go the extra step. Abraham brought something to the world. Sacrifice for what you believe in. All in. You don't believe in something halfway. Now watch what Hashem does. Hashem says, listen, you're the best, but there could be a piece of you that bet wrong, that bet right. You know what? Abraham did well. He bet on God. God's a good investment. He bet on Google early, and he bring the words. By the end of Avram's life, he's got his kid in a miracle. He was rich. He was a warrior. He had everything going for him. Life was great for Avram. And Hashem wakes up one morning and goes, Avram, how are you? He goes, I'm doing wonderful. He goes, wonderful. How's your day? Great. I need a favor. Anything you need, God. I need you to sacrifice your son. And Avram's like, what? I don't speak Hebrew yet. Like, what are you really talking about? He didn't say what I thought you said. I'm just kidding. Yeah, sure. What can I get you to eat? He's like, no. Your son, sacrifice him. Why did Hashem ask Avram to sacrifice his son? Because at the time, the Avodah Zarah was called the Molech. Avraham's whole fight, everything he did from the beginning to end was to change Avodah Zarah, to get rid of Avodah Zarah. But you know what Avodah Zarah did at the time? Sacrifice their kids. If Avram walks on a mountaintop and sacrifices his son, you know what happens when he comes down? There's going to be a crew. Snap, hypocrite of the year. Mr. Don't sacrifice your son. His whole life, don't sacrifice your son. When he won Time Man of the Year, don't sacrifice your son. Sarah's minivan, the back said, don't sacrifice your son. Everything he did was don't sacrifice your son. And here's this man that gives in Avodah Zarah. He's going to walk down and everyone's going to say, Mr. Don't sacrifice your son. Sacrifice this son. He was going to lose everything. His wife, his kids, his legacy, everything. Hashem said, will you give everything to me? everything. When you walk off that mountain, there's nothing left of you. And Avram says, you don't get it. It's only you. I have nothing else. I'm all in on you. You take everything. I will give it all to you. He goes up on the mountaintop. He was willing to give everything, all in for Hashem. No me. And Hashem says, it's good. No, don't kill him. You passed. And Avram goes, passed? I'm not taking a test. He goes, no, I'll give you all the brachas. He goes, I don't want brachas. I want you. Hashem says, you got me. He goes, no, I want to show you. I want to give you something. Hashem says, you've given me everything. He goes, that's not enough. And he looks over to the ram and he shechs the ram. The ram is the symbol of all in, because Avraham couldn't not give something to Hashem. It was lifnim, it was more than even what Hashem asked of him. The one symbol we have in the world that shows you before me, that shows the love and the sacrifice we have for Hashem, is that chauffeur. And God says, that chauffeur, that beyond where Avram went for me, you blow that chauffeur and I'll do anything for you. I don't want anything else, because all I'm trying to do is have a relationship with you. And when you can go all in to me, when you can go all in, when you can put me before you, we can have a relationship, we can do anything. The symbol of the shofar Rosh Hashanah, when you stand before HaKadosh Baruch Hu Rosh Hashanah, you know the mistake we have when we walk in? We think it's about us. My sins, my mitzvahs, my year, my kids, me. And God goes, can you give me just 2 days? And all I want you to think about is me. Forget you. Trust me, I'm your dad. And we blow the shofar and we hope in Mirz Hashem that a Jew closes his eyes or her eyes and says, I'm all in for you. That's all I can say. I'm not perfect because you didn't build me that way. I'm human. I made a ton of mistakes. And I don't know if I'll be better, but I can promise you thing. Done? One more minute. I promise you, and I'm out. I'll tell you one last story, I'm done. This is how I'll end, for real. When my kids were little, I used to come home from work. At that point, my oldest was 5, and I have identical girls, so I had 5, 2, 2. When I walk into the house, when they were little, they get older, they're more busier, but Baruch Hashem, when they were little, they used to play next to the door. And as I opened the door, I heard 3 little pitter-patters. Daddy's home! And the 3 kids would come and hug my feet, my legs. So it was the highlight of my life. There's one day I came home and I opened the door, and they come over, Daddy's home, Daddy's home, Daddy's home, and they hug onto my legs, and my wife comes behind them and she looks at me and goes, I want to tell you what your son did today. I'm thinking if he's my son, he probably burnt down half the house. And I remember my wife was telling me what he did. It was something close to that. And I remember looking down on my kid and saying to myself, there isn't one bit of me that would ever be mad at a kid who's hugging my leg and saying, Daddy's home. Because when a son or a daughter just loves their father, the father can't do anything but love and protect their children. Rosh Hashanah comes, we got a lot to worry about and to daven for and to ask for. But when Rosh Hashanah comes, you know what it is, the core? It's Daddy's home. And when we stand before Hashem and we say, listen, I'm not perfect. I'm just happy you're home. I'm happy I can spend time with you. I'm happy you're Melech Basadeh. And when I hear that shofar, all I'm going to tell you, Hashem, is I'm all in this year. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, that's the secret that I'm waiting my whole life to hear you say. I'll give you everything. Because all I want is 3 words. Rachmana de liba bai. I just want your heart. Thank you very much.